Hadley was born perfectly healthy and a beautiful girl.
She was 6 months old, and all of a sudden I noticed in the tub that she was really off balance and she was sweating profusely. We took her to the ER and she was getting worse and worse and worse.
I stayed with Hadley at the hospital and can vividly remember sitting in the rocking chair, holding Hadley. The oncologist came in and they say, well, this could be cancer. I'll never, ever forget what that felt like. Hearing bone marrow transplant, it's hard to even wrap your head around.
There's over 70 different types of diseases that get treated by a bone marrow stem cell transplant. It is a real journey for a patient and their family to get through this. They have to find the right transplant center, the right doctor, and possibly relocate to go to a hospital that might be best for their sort of disease.
We were scared. We were really, really scared. We talked about it and we decided to move her from the hospital here to the hospital in Cincinnati. And she was in the hospital for 7 months.
The whole thing's just overwhelming. You know, we're moving to a different city now. Who's gonna take care of our kids? What is this gonna cost us? How are we gonna get back and forth? Are our kids gonna be safe? There's a million things that are rushing through your head. We called the Bone Marrow Foundation. The team there was unbelievable.
They really, truly understood it, what families like us are going through.
No matter what our questions were, every time I called, they immediately got us answers. And it was the answers that we wanted to hear, which was, we do all of this for you and we're here to support you.
The Bone Marrow Foundation is available to patients free of charge, helping patients have enough support financially to pay for many ancillary costs that are not covered by health insurance and that patients cannot afford that would detour a bone marrow transplant altogether. We provide educational programs and emotional support.
We got a phone call one day and Kendra was about 3 months old. And the lady on the phone says, Kendra was diagnosed with sickle cell.
Sickle cell is a blood disorder. It just causes really severe pain in different parts of your body. So both my arms, both my legs, it would just hurt real bad. I was just constantly being hospitalized. You go from going to school every day to being in a hospital room by yourself with nurses and doctors.
Kendra came to me 2 years ago. She had sickle cell disease and she was suffering from tremendous amounts of pain. She was missing often weeks of school at a time.
As a parent, you want to take the pain away from your child. When we found out Kendra was going to have her transplant, I felt like this was our answer to cure her disease. They told me it was recommended I would leave work for a year to take care of her.
I don't think people understand the magnitude or the impact it has not only on the person undergoing the transplant, but on the entire family.
As we were getting closer to the transplant, my husband was laid off. So now we felt like we went from 2 people in the household providing to 1, and then now we're like, what's gonna happen? It wasn't easy. There were times where I would break down, but knowing that we had people like the Bone Marrow Foundation, there's a light at the end of that tunnel. They help you every step of the way, from the beginning to the end.
You would think that their disease is the most challenging, but often patients are so overwhelmed by the financial process that they are faced with of loss of work, co-payments for health insurance, transportation, accommodations, it adds up.
More than 85% of my bone marrow was infected with multiple myeloma. It was a form of blood cancer. The only option was a transplant. When I was diagnosed, my youngest son was actually preparing for college. There was going to be hospital stay. I was going to have to pay deductibles. I was really afraid that I wouldn't have money enough for my son to begin his process for college. And it was actually the social worker that began to talk to me about the Bone Marrow Foundation. I didn't have to worry about that end of it, and it left a lot for me to have the emotional stamina to deal with what I really needed to deal with, which was my health.
Well, I was diagnosed about 8 years ago with something called myelodysplastic syndrome. And then in December, I was diagnosed with acute myelocytic leukemia. I do deal with cancer patients, but this was something outside of my realm, and I took the approach more of I was the patient, not a physician, and I tried to be a good patient. I knew the plan from the beginning was that after the chemotherapy, I'd go and have a transplant. The Bone Marrow Foundation does a terrific job. They have the support line, and that's where you can get connected with somebody who's gone through this. I think that's really invaluable.
To hear someone talk to me about the experience of going through a transplant, the load became lighter.
It just made you feel like if they did it, then you could be strong enough to be able to do it as well.
Kendra's doing great. She has really exceeded my expectations. We're ready to send her back to school. She's pain-free, and we're happy to report she has no more sickle cell disease and is cured.
I have so much hopes for Kendra. When she used to say that she wanted to be a nurse practitioner, I wondered if she would be able to go to school because of the pains that she used to go through, but now my expectations are above limit. I know she'll be the best nurse practitioner. I'm just so grateful to the Bone Marrow Foundation. They became part of our family, and they can help other families just like ours.
It helped me, and I believe it can help others.
You can't go through this by yourself.
It's a very important organization for families going through what we've gone through.
That's why it is important that we support this foundation. Truly, I can't remember a patient that hasn't benefited from the generosity of this foundation.
The Bone Marrow Foundation is 100% supported by private donations. As more diseases are treated by bone marrow and stem cell and cord blood transplants, the requests for our assistance grows. Often patients say to us, we would never have been able to go through this treatment and get to the other side without the Bone Marrow Foundation.